Hi, Paul Mascetta here with InfluenceMaster.com, and today I want to talk about the role of similarity in influence and persuasion. Social psychologists have found that we feel a more positive association with people that we feel we are similar to, or that we share similarities with. So this could be something like our names, our birthdays, or places that we grew up. When we meet people like this that we share some sort of a similarity with, we immediately subconsciously feel a connection to these people on some level. And the more connected we are, the more likely we are to gain compliance from people. One researcher by the name of Randy Garner wanted to put this to the test and see if it was real or if it was not real. And so here's what he did. He sent out surveys to a group of people, asking them to complete them and send them back to him. Now, half the people that he sent the surveys to, he sent from a name that was similar to theirs. So in other words, a person by the name of Rob Johnson would receive a letter from a name, something like Rob Johnston. Not an identical name, but a name that was very similar. The other half of the people that were sent the letter was sent letters from people with completely different names. They were real names of people in his research group. And he wanted to determine if the people who received letters from names that were similar would be more respondent and send the surveys back versus those that didn't. Well, here's what he found. Of the people that received letters from people with similar names, they were 56% likely to return the letter and the survey, whereas those who received letters from people with dissimilar names were only 30% likely to return the letter. So what do we see here? We see that similarity nearly doubles the response rate in people. That's amazing. In one group, you're getting a 30% response rate, and in a group with similarity, you're getting nearly 60% response rate. So response rate actually almost doubles when the role of similarity is introduced. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Of the group of people that did respond, he then sent them another survey asking them to identify a couple of factors behind why they decided to fill out the survey, and not one of them mentioned the name similarity. So what really happened was the driving force was the similarity, but yet no one identified it as the deciding factor. Why? Because it happens on such a subconscious level that people do not realize it. That's the power of influence and persuasion. When you know this stuff and you can apply it the right way, you will gain compliance from people in ways that neither you nor they ever thought possible, because no one has the time to actually consciously think that it's taking place. It's taking place on such deep subconscious levels in a matter of seconds that no one can even comprehend. Now, another group of researchers at Columbia University wanted to perform another test to put the role of similarity to the test. So here's what they did. They wanted to determine if they could get a response rate on lost wallets to go up based on the similarity factor. So here's what they did. They placed wallets on the floor, and on each wallet contained $2 in cash, a check for $26.30, the owner's ID, and a letter from a previous person to the owner stating that they found their wallet and returned it back to them. So let me go over that one more time. Each wallet had $2 in cash, a check for $26.30, the owner's ID, and a letter to the owner from someone else stating that the wallet was once lost before and that they had found it. Well, here's what they did. 50% of those letters from the previous finders were written in perfect English, whereas the other 50% were written in languages that were almost foreign. The process here is to determine if the letters written in English, which the new finders will see a similarity to, will be more likely to return the wallets versus those that find the wallets and can't identify with the letter in there. Well, again, results are pretty surprising. What they found was that people who found the letters written in a foreign language were 33% likely to return them to the owners, whereas those who found letters that were written in perfect English were 70% likely to return the wallets. Again, we see the response rate double based upon the similarity factor. This is how powerful the similarity factor is. And here's what's really interesting. Out of those people that are picking up those wallets and looking at the contents, looking at the $2, looking at the check, looking at the owner's ID, and then looking at the letter, no one is really looking at that and saying, hey, this letter looks similar to me, I can identify with it, so I'm going to go ahead and send this back to the owner. It doesn't happen that way. It does happen, but it happens on a subconscious level. No one is consciously sitting there and identifying the reason why they're going to send it back. It just happens. As I always say, there are triggers that are installed inside the subconscious mind of every person that can be activated. And when you activate them in the right way, you can gain a result. And oftentimes that result is the compliance that you are requesting. Now, researchers McCorsky, Richmond, and Daly have identified 4 factors that contribute to the similarity factor in itself. And those 4 factors are attitude, morality, background, and appearance. And the first 2, attitude and morality, are the most important, meaning that people identify with those factors more strongly than the other 2. So how do we leverage this? How do we use this to our advantage? Well, I tell people all the time, we are living in the age of information, okay? And what that means is that we have information, all types of information at our disposal via the internet. This information that I'm passing to you right now, I am passing to you through the internet. People should utilize the internet more often to try to gain more information about their target. So if you're going on a job interview, for example, or you're going into a business meeting, obviously you probably know the name of the person that you're going to meet with. Use the search engines, use Bing, use Yahoo, use Google, and search these people's names and try to find out where they live, if they have children, what hobbies or interests they have, where they grew up, what their birthday is, and try to identify similarities that you may have with that person and then leverage them. Now, I'm not saying that you should create similarities out of thin air. What I'm saying is that you should do your homework, do sort of a background check on your target, try to figure out try to identify as many similarities as you can, and then leverage them. Now, conversely, I often say that a great defense often makes the perfect offense. What do I mean by that? I mean that if you find things that are not similar to your target, things that are directly opposite of your target, you want to make sure that you avoid those things in your presentation. So if you have a different religious belief, for example, person may or may not be religious, or you may or may not be religious, but if they differ from one another, it's not something that you want to touch upon during the influence process, because it's not going to help you. If you notice that maybe they like a certain sports team and you like the rival team, again, something that you want to stay away from, because it's not going to set off that similarity trigger that resides in their subconscious mind. Now, if let's say you're not going on to a one-on-one meeting, let's say you're giving a group presentation, well, what you first want to focus on is what your topic of speech is going to be about, and then you want to think about what kind of a demographic or what kind of a group of people would show up to hear a presentation like that. Would it be business professionals? Would it be athletes? Would it be coaches? And then you want to try to adapt your presentation in a way that people like that can relate to. So, for example, if let's just say you know that during your presentation you are going to have a lot of athletes at your presentation or at your event, then any kind of case studies that you would want to use, you should try to use as many that involve athletes or sports, or you should try to talk about any kind of stories of achievement stories that relate to sports, because this is what they can relate to. And what it's going to do is it's going to open up this sphere of influence where the people that are listening to you are thinking, hey, I can identify with this person thinks like me, this person acts like me, this person behaves like me, and therefore I should listen to what they have to say. So again, the role of similarity is extremely powerful, and you should make it your business to identify as many similarity factors as you can about your target, and then leverage them, and then also identify things that are complete opposites to your target and make sure that you stay away from them. Once again, Paul Mascetta here with InfluenceMaster.com, wishing you a great day.